Hello everybody, this is Colton. I'm building my IT career and sharing everything I've learned to help you grow in yours. So let's get right to it. Alright, so we are now on assignment 1.1.7 on Packet Tracer, which is the basic switch configuration. We have our setup here. This is our topology, what it should look like. I'm going to minimize that a bit. We have our IP address tables. In our objectives, we have three parts: cable the network and verify the default switch configuration, configure basic network device settings, verify and test network connectivity. Alrighty. So in this activity, we're going to build a simple topology using Ethernet LAN cabling to access a Cisco switch using the console and remote access methods. You'll examine the default switch configurations for configuring the basic switch settings. The basic switch settings include the device name, interface description, local password, MOTD banner, IP address, and static MAC address. Alright, so on part one, just says we're going to set it up. So we're going to get into step one. We have to grab our S1 from the shelf, and we're going to put it on the left side of the table, just right over here. We're going to get PCA, put it on the right side. You're going to hit the power button, make sure to turn that on. We're now at 3%. Let's grab the console cable and put it into RS-232 in PCA. And we are going to connect it to the rear part of S1. Okay. So now we're going to get into our desktop tab, terminal, hit OK, no, enter. This question right here is the first one. It says, why must you use a console connection to initially configure the switch? Why is it not possible to connect to the switch via Telnet or SSH? And the reason why I can show you is because there is no IT addressing set up yet, and everything is down. There have been no configurations done on this, so therefore Telnet and SSH have not yet been set up. That is why it is impossible, and you must use the console connection. Okay, so now we are on step two. We're going to verify the default switch configuration. We're going to examine the switch settings, current switch configuration, the iOS information, interface properties, VLAN info, and flash memory. Okay, so we're going to get into, we're already in privilege exec. So we're down to B here. We are going to get our running config. These are all the commands that have already been run on this. So that's what we got. How many gigabyte Ethernet interfaces does a switch have? It has 24 right here, plus these 4, so a total of 28. That is the answer to the question. The range of values shown for the VTY lines are 0 and 4. So now we're going to see if there's any startup configuration, and there is not. This device has not yet been modified. And this appears just to make us aware that, like I was saying, there is no configurations done already. So this is pretty much a blank slate. Show interface VLAN 1. We want to see what our VLAN 1 interface is. Okay, is there an IP address assigned to VLAN 1? Let's check this out. There does not seem to be an IP address. No, there is no IP address. And the interface is down. Okay. So the MAC address of the SVI, we can check that by once again issuing the show interface VLAN 1. And that is right here. That is the MAC address of the SVI. And this interface is down, and so is the line protocol. So that means that it is administratively shut down, it is logically shut down, and the line protocol is down. So we are going to connect a straight through Ethernet cable from G106 on the switch. And we're going to connect that right just to the PCA. And we're going to give that a second because it's saying it's going to negotiate the duplex and the speed parameters. Let's see here if this has changed anything on here. Show VLAN brief. Show IPN brief. I do not believe it has shown anything. Let's see here though. Let's check the IP interface. That is down, down, and there's no IP processing enabled. Okay, so that is the output. We are going to get into that SVI VLAN 1 interface, so we're just going to type it in. And we're going to run a no shutdown. So that is now up. Okay. And we're going to check that again. Oh yeah, we're in config. Okay, so that is still down. We have not yet manually entered an IP address. So there is still no IP address at the moment. We're going to get into configure terminal. Look at the version that we're currently running, which is, let's see here. It is the Catalyst L3 switch software, version 16.3.2. System image file name is flash cat3k and sysline array. Okay. What is the base Ethernet MAC address? Let's see here. So this is the base Ethernet MAC address right here. It is 0060 2FDE 17 2D. All right. So now we're going to see what interface Gigabyte 106 is doing. Okay, so this is actually up. That is working. That is the cable that we connected between PCA and S1. An event that would make the interface go down would be if you manually configured it to be administratively down or you unplugged it. Now the MAC address is this one right here. The speed and duplex setting of this interface, it is full duplex and it is 100 megabytes per second. So let's check the default VLANs. These are all our VLANs that we have here, and all the ports are set to access VLAN 1 by default. Because that is that's whenever you first get a router, that's the native VLAN that you'll have. So VLAN 1 is just named default. That's what comes when the router leaves like the factory. And all the ports are in VLAN 1. This is active. And we're going to examine the flash memory. Alrighty. What is the file name of the Cisco iOS image? I believe it is the VLAN.dit or this one right here. So we are now in part 2. We're going to configure the basic network device settings. We're going to enter these basic configuration commands right here and just put it into switch 1. So we gotta get it into configure terminal. We're gonna set no IP domain lookup. Host name is set to S1. We're gonna use service password encryption so that any passwords that we configure on this device are actually encrypted and they don't just pop up in clear text if somebody were able to access this router. And we're going to set the banner motto of the day and to say unauthorized access is strictly prohibited. Okay, now we're going to set the SVI IP address of the switch. Okay, so the default configuration on the switch is to have the management of the switch controlled through VLAN 1, but the best practice for basic switch configuration is to actually change management VLAN to a different number than 1, because that's the default. Everybody would know that if you were to get attacked. So for management purposes, use VLAN 99. The selection of this VLAN number is arbitrary and does not imply that you should always use VLAN 99. All right, so let's get into VLAN 99. That has been set up, and we have our IP addresses up here. Alrighty, IP address 192.168.1.2. I forgot to add in the subnet. It's going to be, this is /24. It's missing 8 bits from 32, so that is going to be, this last octet is actually just 0. There we go. And now we're going to get the IPv6 address, 2001 DB8 ACAD to 64. Alrighty, now IPv6 address FE82 link local for the link local address right here. Alrighty. Okay, so this interface, even though we have accessed it and set it to up, is currently the down state. That's because there are no switch ports assigned to the VLAN 99. So we just have to assign all the user ports to VLAN 99, which we can do by, first of all, we're going to check what all we have. These are all the user ports. No switch ports. Those are all switch ports. So now we have to go into configure terminal, interface range, starting with gigabit 1/0/1 and ending at gigabyte 1/0/24. Okay, enter into that. We're going to switch it to mode access and switch those port accesses. Switch those ports to access VLAN 99. Okay. So now that we have some interfaces in VLAN 99, it has been switched up, and those interfaces will all now be here. As we can see, let's check this out. Those are now here, but we just have these last 4. We're going to get those too. Interface gig. Oh, I need to put range. Interface range gig 1/1/1 to gig 1/1/4. Switch. We can just arrow up to get that a little easier. Access VLAN 99. Now we're going to double check. All the ports are now in VLAN 99. Alrighty. We have made sure that all the ports are in VLAN 99. So we are going to put a default gateway on this. We are going to add in the default gateway IP default/default gateway 192.168/1/1. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, console port access should also be restricted with a password. So we're going to use Cisco as the console login password in this activity. The default configuration is to allow all the console connections access without a password. To prevent the console messages from interrupting commands, we're going to use logging synchronous. All right, so we're going to get into these console lines and get those commands out of our way while we're writing. And set the password as Cisco and set login. So they have to log in every time they want to access the console. Alrighty, now we're going to do line VTY04. Password is Cisco. Login. I need to do a line VTY015. There we go. So we got all the VTY lines. If you do line VTY 0 and 15 instead of just 4, then you get all the lines, and it'll actually get more secure, I believe. So now we have to log into that. We have the same password. We have to configure these lines for the switch to allow us to use Telnet. If you don't configure the VTY password, you won't be able to use Telnet to access the switch. The login command is required to force people to log in and add a level of security to Telnet, which is always a good idea because you don't want people just randomly accessing your stuff. Alrighty, so now we're going to configure the IP address on PCA. We're going to assign the IP address and the subnet mask to the PC, which we have right here in this table. Now we're going to head in and switch these both to static. 192.168. That is correct. Default gateway. There we go. We do not have a DNS server. Okay. So here is our IPv6 address. And 64. Our default gateway here is FE80 1. Okay. So this assignment just says 96%, but we actually did set the default gateway on here. So a little trick you can do to actually get that up to 100% is you just save this document and save it on your file explorer. Then you close out of it, save everything, and then you reload it, and it'll be at 100%. I'm not sure why this is happening, but it's some type of technical error. I can even show you guys whenever we are finished with this assignment. Okay, so part 3, we're going to verify and test the network connectivity. Let's just make sure that we got the right IP here. Yep. Okay. So we're going to come to our command prompt here, and we're just going to ping all these IP addresses. There we go. Yep, we're getting replies. We're going to try out the IPv6 addresses now. Okay, so we're getting that too. Now we're going to try our own. There we go, we got a reply. Yep, so connection's all good like I was saying. It's just the like technical error, I don't really get it. So we're going to display the switch configuration now. Alright, come back to the terminal. And we're going to end show run. And this is just going to show us everything we have configured already on here, all the commands that we have used. So we're just going to double check and make sure that we have all of these commands set up on our run. So let's check. Service password encryption, that is good, yes. So as you see, after running our service password encryption, this is what the password looks like instead of just saying the word Cisco. So that's a good security thing to do. Just make sure nobody can kind of get in the console and just find the password really easy like that. So we have no IP domain lookup. Switch port access, VLAN 99, that is good. All of these have been switched to VLAN 99, as you can see. Okay, VLAN 99 interface. We have the MAC address. Things looking good. Yep, same default gateway. Banner motto of the day. Alright, we got the passwords under VTY as well. Alrighty. So now we're going to check interface VLAN 99 to verify the management settings. The bandwidth of this interface is, let's just here. Bandwidth is 100,000, I believe, right here. State is up, and line protocol is also up. So those are these three questions right here. It's just 100,000 up and up. And we have already tested the connectivity, so this is all good. And now we're gonna test and verify the remote management of S1. You can now use Telnet to remotely access a switch. It's not very secure because it does not encrypt the traffic, but you can use it to test remote access. With Telnet, all the information is sent in plain text. So in the next couple activities, you will learn how to use SSH to remotely access network devices securely. All right. Open desktop, go to Telnet and SSH client. Connection type. This VI management address is right up here. I want it to be set at Telnet, actually. There we go. All right, there we go. Now we have our Cisco. So we're now in the into the router remotely from our computer. Okay, so yep, we have gotten into it, and now we're just going to save the configuration. So we're going to do the copy running config, startup config. Just save that to the startup config file and the running config. Copy the running config to the start config file, and there we go. So that is now saved. And we're going to exit. We do not want to reestablish a new session, because we've already tested that. So deploy switch S1 on the production network. We will now install switch S1 on the production network and disconnect the console cable. Telnet will be used to remotely access the switch and complete any additional configuration and verification. In subsequent activities, you'll use SSH to remotely access network devices. So we are going to move switch S1 over here to our rack. And we got to inspect the rear here. Grab this console cable and put it back on the board. Alrighty. So we have our reflection questions here. It says, why should you configure the VTY password for the switch? This is so we can add some security. We can add a password to the telnet lines and make sure that that it's not just out in the open, so that nobody random can just kind of telnet into our devices and configure our network machines. That'd be a bad idea. Okay, so why change the default VLAN 1 to a different VLAN number? This right here is important because the default VLAN that comes after a switch leaves the factory is VLAN 1, and anybody who can access the internet, they can look that up and find the manufacturer and just figure out what the default VLAN is, and if that's not changed, that could introduce some security vulnerabilities. So it's just good to switch that number. And how can you prevent passwords from being sent in plain text? You can do the service password encryption command, and that will actually encrypt all the passwords, and they won't be in plain text. So you wouldn't be able to just check the config and find the commands that we've run and just see that the password is just Cisco. Okay, so that does conclude this assignment. I would like to thank you guys all for watching the video. I hope that this helped you, and be anticipating more videos. I'm going to be releasing more and just adding up to this catalog so I can help people out, help some CCNA candidates, and keep learning, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to join the community and see when I upload new videos so I can help you out with your learning journey. And I'll see you next time.